Hello and welcome to our next edition of our video blog, Kev Thinking Out Loud. Yesterday there was some interesting news from the National Bureau of Economic Research. This is a think tank out of the United States that I referred to in the last video blog discussing recessions, how they work and what normally takes place. And the National Bureau of Economic Research yesterday announced that their findings are that a recession officially began December '07, which means that technically we've been in a recession for that long. Now, many people I'm finding are saying to me and thinking out loud that they can't see how things can get any better. That's a common way to think and a common feeling in times of recession. And what I wanted to do is point out that recessions, all previous recessions anyways, did end. So obviously they did get better at various points in time. So I wanted to talk about one concept. There are many factors that come together to bring about an end to a recession, and I wanted to talk about just one of them, one that I think is particularly easy to understand, and that concept is one called pent-up demand. Now, pent-up demand happens when consumers decide to defer a consumption. They decide, rather than, for example, they need a new vehicle, and in times of recession or hardship, they'll say, well, I need a new vehicle, but I can keep this one going for another 6 months or so, and because I'm uncertain perhaps about my employment situation or my budget, I'll just do that and delay getting that vehicle till things feel better. Another example would be, a computer that keeps breaking down on them. Somehow they try to keep that thing going for a little bit longer until things feel better in their household situation. Vacations is another example. But then you can also apply that logic to businesses that may need to retool or re-engineer themselves in order to make their businesses more efficient and profitable. But in a time like this, when they're worried about their bottom line and possibly a reduction in their business, they may defer those decisions to retool. So basically, pent-up demand is that consumption that we think we need to do or want to do but choose not to do at this point of time because things are tough. Now, the thing is that pent-up demand the greater a recession gets, or the longer it gets, the greater the pent-up demand becomes. And I'm sure we can all think of things in this environment where we've decided not to make that purchase decision now. But realize this, that a certain amount of that consumption that's deferred is not gone away forever. It has to come back, because even though I may want to keep that car going for another 6 months, really beyond a certain point it becomes unrealistic, and I'm going to have to buy that vehicle to replace it. So the pent-up demand, think of it as consumption that's deferred and eventually is going to come back, and the greater the pent-up demand is in a recessionary period, generally speaking, the greater the unleashing of that demand once it returns. So we've certainly seen the effects of that in this time frame, in this recession, and I think that we should keep that in mind, that consumption isn't gone for good. It's probably coming back at some time in the future, and when it does, it'll feel better for all of us. Thank you very much for tuning in, and stay tuned for our next edition of our video blog.